When was the last time you saw Raheem Porter breathing?
Tonight at the club.
Welcome to today's video where we'll be delving into the world of police interrogation techniques. When it comes to solving crimes, extracting a confession from a suspect can be a crucial piece of evidence. But how do detectives go about getting those confessions? In this video, we'll explore the methods and tactics used by police to extract information from suspects and examine the ethics and effectiveness of these techniques. So, if you're curious about the psychology behind police interrogations and want to know more about how detectives extract confessions, then stay tuned. When it comes to solving crimes, police interrogations are often portrayed as dramatic and intense moments of truth. However, the reality is that these interrogations are a complex and nuanced process that requires specialized training, knowledge of the law, and an understanding of human psychology.
Look, we know that Mr. Quiles is regularly harassed by the local gangs. Do you boys have any rivalry with the other gangs?
Peruvian gang. Rapido Morte.
Yeah, we know who they are.
Radamans. They always fucking with us.
Radamans? Tell us about Radamans.
It's Puerto Rican gang.
The process of extracting a confession from a suspect has always been a crucial part of solving crimes. Detectives employ a range of techniques to gather evidence and information, and police interrogation is one of the most important tools in their arsenal. In this video, we'll explore the world of police interrogation techniques and examine the methods and tactics used by detectives to extract confessions. First and foremost, it's important to understand that police interrogations are not always about getting a confession. Sometimes they're used to gather information, verify or refute alibis, or simply assess the suspect's level of involvement in a crime. Only a small percentage of police interrogations result in a confession. It's also crucial to note that police interrogation is a complex and often controversial process. The line between what is considered ethical and what is not can be blurry, and it's important to approach this topic with an open mind and a critical eye. That being said, let's take a closer look at how detectives extract confessions.
You ever been in jail, Tony?
Me? Jail? No way. No.
Been in a mental hospital?
Oh, yeah. And they both coming over.
What about homosexuality, Tony? You like men, huh? You like to dress up like a woman?
What the fuck is wrong with this guy, man? You kidding me or what?
Just answer the question.
One of the most well-known police interrogation techniques is the Reed technique. This method, developed in the 1950s by John E. Reed and Associates, is widely used by law enforcement agencies in the United States. The Reed technique involves a 9-step process that aims to elicit a confession from a suspect. The first step in the Reed technique is to establish rapport with the suspect. Detectives will try to create a comfortable and non-threatening environment in which the suspect feels at ease. This can involve small conversations, such as asking about the suspect's job or hobbies. The second step is to confront the suspect with the evidence against them. This is where the detective lays out the facts of the case and makes it clear to the suspect that the evidence is stacked against them. The third step involves minimizing the crime. Detectives will often try to downplay the severity of the offense to make it easier for the suspect to admit to it. A detective might say, "I can understand why you did what you did. Anyone in your situation would have done the same thing." The fourth step is to elicit the first admission of guilt.
How about Porter? Did they harass him too?
If anybody had a motive to do Raheem in, it would have been Radamans.
This can involve asking the suspect questions that they are likely to answer in the affirmative. The goal is to get the suspect to admit to something, no matter how small. The fifth step is to develop the admission. This involves asking open-ended questions that encourage the suspect to provide more detail about the offense. The sixth step is to get the suspect to confess. This can involve using psychological techniques such as guilt, empathy, or fear. Detectives might say things like, "Your family deserves to know the truth," or "You'll feel better if you confess." The seventh step is to document the confession. Detectives will often record the confession on video or audio tape and ask the suspect to sign a written confession. The eighth step is to get the suspect to provide a detailed statement. This can involve asking the suspect to provide a timeline of events or to explain their motives for committing the crime. The final step is to convince the suspect to cooperate. Detectives might offer a plea bargain or promise a reduced sentence in exchange for the suspect's cooperation. Critics of the Reed technique argue that it can lead to false confessions, particularly in cases where the suspect is mentally ill, intellectually disabled, or under duress. In recent years, there has been a growing awareness of the potential for police interrogation techniques to produce false confessions. Some detectives also use physical force or threats to get a suspect to confess. Another controversial technique used by some detectives is the use of deception. This can involve lying to the suspect about the evidence or even pretending to be sympathetic or supportive to gain their trust. While deception is legal in some jurisdictions, it can also lead to false confessions and has been criticized by civil liberties groups. Studies have shown that certain techniques, such as minimizing the crime or using psychological manipulation, can lead innocent suspects to confess to crimes they didn't commit. In response to these concerns, some law enforcement agencies have begun to adopt more ethical and effective interrogation techniques. These techniques focus on building rapport with the suspect, using open-ended questions, and avoiding tactics that are likely to produce false confessions. One of these ethical interrogation techniques is the PEACE model. The PEACE model, which stands for Preparation and Planning, Engage and Explain, Account, Closure and Evaluate, is a widely used police interrogation technique in the United Kingdom that focuses on building rapport, gathering information, and developing a narrative of events. This technique emphasizes the importance of listening to the suspect, asking open-ended questions, and avoiding the use of leading or suggestive questions. The PEACE model was developed in response to concerns about the effectiveness and ethics of traditional police interrogation techniques. The first step of the PEACE model is preparation and planning, which involves gathering information about the case, the suspect, and any potential witnesses. This step is essential for building a strong case and ensuring that the interrogation is effective. The second step is engage and explain, which involves establishing rapport with the suspect and explaining the purpose of the interview. This step is critical for creating a comfortable and non-threatening environment in which the suspect feels at ease. The third step is account, which involves gathering information from the suspect about their involvement in the crime. Detectives using the PEACE model will ask open-ended questions and avoid using leading or suggestive questions. The fourth step is closure, which involves bringing the interview to a close and ensuring that the suspect understands the next steps in the investigation. The final step is evaluate, which involves reviewing the interview and assessing its effectiveness. Detectives using the PEACE model will evaluate the information gathered, as well as the rapport established with the suspect, to determine if further interviews are necessary. Overall, the PEACE model is an effective and ethical police interrogation technique that emphasizes the importance of building rapport with the suspect and gathering accurate and reliable information. By using this technique, law enforcement agencies can ensure that their interrogations are fair and effective and respect the rights of suspects. Another ethical approach to police interrogation is the cognitive interview. This technique, developed by psychologists in the 1980s, is based on principles of cognitive psychology and memory recall. The cognitive interview involves using techniques such as reinstating context, recalling events in reverse order, and using mental imagery to help the suspect recall details of the crime. In recent years, there has been a growing awareness of the potential risks and drawbacks of police interrogations, particularly concerning false confessions. In response, some police departments have begun to adopt more progressive and humane interrogation methods that focus on building trust and empathy with the suspect rather than using psychological manipulation or deception. Ultimately, the goal of police interrogation should be to gather accurate and reliable information that can be used to solve crimes and bring perpetrators to justice. While the Reed technique and other traditional police interrogation techniques can be effective, detectives need to approach each interrogation with a critical eye and an awareness of the potential for false confessions. As we come to the end of today's episode on how detectives extract confessions, we should note that police interrogation techniques are a complex and nuanced process that requires specialized training, knowledge of the law, and an understanding of human psychology. While there are a variety of techniques used to extract confessions, it's important to balance the need for justice with the rights and dignity of the suspect. By adopting more progressive and humane interrogation methods, We can not only improve the accuracy and reliability of confessions, but also uphold the principles of fairness and justice that are the cornerstone of our legal system. We appreciate you taking the time to explore this topic with us, and we look forward to bringing you more thought-provoking content in the future. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date on all our latest videos. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.